Chuck Schumer. You know this guy, right? Chucky. The left says Dems caved on shutdown. That's what the left says. This is according to thehill.com and also according to my eyes, because they have been reading tweets of progressives being very pissed off. I don't even know if you want to call them progressives, just people. People who are calling themselves Democrats or people who support the Dreamers, okay? They're hammering Senate Minority Leader Charles Schumer for his agreement with Senate Republican leadership to end the government shutdown on Monday. They feel that the Democrats had a position, they should have held that position, and they don't agree with them caving in. Even House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi has spoken out against the deal, saying there was no reason to support it. No reason to support it. She said this: I don't see that there's any reason, I'm speaking personally, in hearing from my members, to support what was put forth, Pelosi said at a press conference briefly shortly before Schumer signaled Senate Democrats would agree to it. There are some people who were out there protesting that they get an agreement that would give the DACA folks a definite stay, some type of future, a future that they could count on, so they could stop worrying about being deported every 2 seconds. And I think that's only fair. Activists took a harsher tone, according to The Hill. It's official. Chuck Schumer is the worst negotiator in Washington, even worse than Donald Trump, said Murshid Zahid, a political director at Credo, a progressive advocacy group. Any plan to protect Dreamers that relies on the word of serial liars like Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, House Speaker Paul Ryan, and President Donald Trump is doomed to fail, said Zahid. Schumer and McConnell brokered a deal to pass a continuing resolution to fund the government until February 8th. In exchange for a compromise from Senate Republican leadership to hold a vote for DACA replacement legislation by that date. Activists were incensed at the deal, as it includes no guarantees that a bill will pass, nor does it tie an immigration bill to a must-pass measure to give Democrats any leverage. So this will take out of the corner, the bargaining chip that the Democrats had, which would be the immigration reform that they're trying to pass within this bill. Now, if that passes, well, they won't have the leverage on it anymore. Now they'll just be left to the whims and willies of the Republican Party. The agreement also includes no guarantee that a potential Senate agreement on DACA could see a vote in the House. That's very important. See how that works? It's like triangulation. Today's cave by Senate Democrats, led by a weak-kneed right-of-center Democrats, plural, is why people don't believe the Democratic Party stands for anything, said Stephanie Taylor, co-founder of the Progressive Change Campaign Committee. These weak Democrats hurt the party brand for everyone and make it harder to elect Democrats everywhere in 2018. Schumer faced pressure to reach a deal from members of his caucus, worried that the shutdown would hurt the party. 5 Democrats had voted in favor of a House bill to keep the government open for a month. Before the vote Monday, a slew of progressive activists held a call pushing Democrats to demand a DACA deal in exchange for reopening the government. We've seen a number of promises from McConnell to his party members on the Affordable Care Act and the DREAM Act, said Grisa Martinez, Advocacy and Policy Director at United We Dream. Promises are not results. Promises are not protections, referring to so far unfulfilled commitments on immigration, health care made by McConnell to Senators Jeff Flake and Susan Collins in exchange for their votes on the tax reform. Democratic senators with 2020 presidential aspirations came out against the agreement. Do tell. The majority leader's comments last night fell short of the ironclad guarantee I needed to support a stopgap spending bill, said Senator Kamala Harris. I refuse to put the lives of nearly 700,000 young people in the hands of someone who has repeatedly gone back on his word. I will do everything in my power to continue to protect Dreamers from deportation. Senator Cory Booker, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Kirsten Gillibrand all voted against closing debate on the agreement. If you believe in something, you got to stand up for it, regardless to what pressure you receive. The comment that the activists made, I agree with. You know, what does the Democratic Party stand for? Great question. It's a question I've been asking for months. Heck, for years. What do you stand for? You know, if you allow the Republican Party to paint the narrative that if you don't give in, well, you're not respecting the military, well, that's just BS. And you got to have a tougher chin than that. See, the problem is this. Donald Trump was willing to be hated. Chuck Schumer isn't. Chuck Schumer's not willing to be hated. Donald Trump could care less. His base is intact. See, this goes back to what happened with the 2016 elections. Once your party becomes fractured, once the eyes and the fingers are pointing at you, well, you don't have much room for error. Nancy Pelosi can come out now all bold and say, I don't agree with Chuck and this was the wrong move, but she's part of the problem. The Democratic Party lost touch a long time ago. They stopped standing for things that mattered many years ago. Hell, I'm not even sure if they ever stood for anything in the last 20 years that really mattered to the voters. They've been running on, these guys are worse than us. You got to vote for us because they're all bigots. And for some reason, that just doesn't have the juice it used to have. Because people are starting to realize that, you know what? There's bigots on this side of the aisle too. And these bigots on this side of the aisle are the ones we voting for. So, Chuck Schumer, he took the path that would probably remove his butt from crosshairs. The American people were looking at this and they were saying, who should we blame? And obviously, the fact that it was the Democrats who caved in, they will get the blame for the shutdown. Now, even if they fund it to February 8th, there is a possibility there will be another shutdown, and I wonder who they'll blame this time. Yeah. Blink once, and you are screwed.
Here's what I want you all to do for me.